Hey guys, now we're going to talk about sleep health today. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Dr. Jess and I'm a naturopathic medical doctor as well as a chiropractor. And I'm trying to do some talks on Tuesdays so that we can get a little bit more of foundations of health together. And I think there's a lot of great information out there, and our patients need to have it. So, we talked on my normal Instagram of what people wanted to hear about this week, and that was sleep health. And I was trying to get my Instagram and Facebook Live, but my computer wouldn't load. So it'll just be on here, and then I'll repost it onto Facebook for those people who follow me there. So some of the biggest things that I talk about with sleep health with patients is it's really, really important. Sleep is the time that we're folding our proteins and dealing with our cholesterol and making hormones, and we spend so much of our life sleeping. It's very, very important that our sleep is good quality. And there's a lot of things that can affect our sleep quality. There's some really cool new studies that have to do with gut health and melatonin production and the types of inflammation that happen in our GI tract that affect our sleep health and all that sort of stuff. But we can dive into that another time. One of the big things that I always recommend for patients is trying to create some sort of a schedule. Like, let's say you want to be able to go to bed a little earlier. The best thing is to start incrementally, like 15 minutes a night closer. In the studies, they also talk about in the first 30 minutes of waking up to be in bright sunlight if possible. So if you're in a place that's cloudy and you can't, if you can get one of those seasonal affective disorder lamps that has the really good amount of light that's similar to the sun to kind of stimulate your body to stop producing melatonin. It helps wake yourself up to being ready for the day. So usually when I get up, I open my blinds and I sit and stare at the sun, or I'll sit outside or go for a walk and make sure my body is awake and ready for the day. So what happens throughout the day is, in the morning and throughout most of the day, it's kind of these like blue lights and these blue hues. And then as the sun starts to set, it turns into this beautiful orange color. And before we had incandescent lights and fluorescent lights and computers and all of these things, we had candlelight. And that was more of like an oranger hue. And those orange tones in the sky and even the candles would signal our brain to start producing melatonin. And it starts ramping up from sunset, and it gets more and more and more until about bedtime. And typically there's this window from like 7 to 10 p.m. that most people in this normal circadian rhythm will feel tired, and that's the ideal time to fall asleep because of when our body has built up enough melatonin. When you pass that window, I'm sure you've felt that you have a hard time falling asleep. You missed that window of when you were actually tired. So I always recommend people to try to find their window of sleep, but if they can, go walk at sunset and get those orange hues into your body to start cueing that it's time for your brain to start slowing down and the melatonin to be produced. Doesn't mean your brain has to slow down, but you know what I mean as far as like we're getting towards nighttime, let's switch into this other circadian rhythm. The other thing I meant to bring to my office, but I was running out of the house this morning and totally forgot, I have blue light filter glasses. So the technology has improved enough that Apple even knows how important blue light filtering is. They have it on their phone. It's called Night Shift if you have an Apple. Otherwise, I'm sure Androids, they have some sort of app you can download. But if you look in your settings and you go to brightness, I think it'll be night shift. I always do mine sunset to sunrise, and it will go through those blue lights. And then as sunset happens, it'll go more to the oranger hues, and your screen will look funny at night. But it keeps your body from blocking that melatonin production, because that blue light, like we talked about during the beginning of the day, actually shuts off melatonin production. And our phones emit blue light, our computers emit blue light, a lot of our lamps and lights inside our TVs. So I have a pair of f.lux glasses, and I'll put a link to that under when I repost this. But f.lux glasses block blue light. They filter the blue light. And so I wear those in the evening, especially if I'm working on my computer or if I'm watching Netflix and relaxing or any of that sort of stuff. So I want to optimize my body doing what it needs to do to produce melatonin so that I can have that restful REM sleep. I can build protein, I can recover, I can build my growth hormone, all that sort of stuff. So that's one of the things. You can also create kind of a nighttime routine. A lot of people will talk about melatonin or 5-HTP or I love sleepy time tea, or I like to make blends of teas that can have really great calming herbs and have that as part of a nighttime routine. The best thing too is to try to limit your screen time before bed. I always tell patients at least a half hour before bed. See if you can set your phone in the other room or try to keep it away from you and set kind of a timer of like when you stop looking at your phone, so that your brain can have that little bit of space to really start decompressing and not be constantly awake by the blue light that's still somewhat emitted. So some of the big things for sleep, having that routine, blocking the blue light because of the day and age that we live in. And if you really need more help, there's some great herbs that can help, and there's, just general melatonin that a lot of people know about, but it also depends on how the person processes melatonin for if it's going to help them or not, or if the 5-HTP is going to help them more. And that's a whole nother topic that we can get into. But I'll put some links in the bottom of this and in a handout that I'll create, so that you guys have options for what I like to go to for herbs or for supplements to help support sleep and to somewhat reset the cortisol. Because what we want is the cortisol to be low when we go to bed and high in the morning. And sometimes with caffeine and life and stress, our cortisol rhythms are flipped or they're kind of flatlined. So we want to make sure that we're fully supported and we can get that cortisol down in the evening and we kind of reset. So adrenal health, stress management, all that sort of stuff is really important. And overall, get some good sleep, because sleep is super important. So if there's any questions, definitely let me know. I'd love to have feedback on more things that you want to know about. I can dive further into melatonin. I can dive further into herbs that are helpful. If it helps that I show you products, I can definitely show you some products, but in the future, let me know. And if there are any questions, we're pretty much wrapped up, and I will be offering a free handout again. So, any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. There's starting to be more people that want to know about allergies, but for the most part, everybody's been asking about sleep recently. So, I'll do another poll next week and see what you guys want to learn about. But that was my sleep tips. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week.